All right, last thing we're going to talk about today on Dog Talk is Marvel and other comic books that we think would make a really good series. So, joining me again is...
Kevin, Wicked Ninja 88.
And...
Cam, the alleged amateur.
All right, and so we'll start with seniority. So what would be one that you want as a Netflix, or I guess even like, well, Netflix is good because they can still be like HBO, Showtime.
Yes, they
show
can.
like a lot of blood and
Well, I'll lead with one, then I'll let it go on. But my Marvel character that I would really like to see as a Netflix standalone or something is got to be Squirrel Girl. It's got to be Squirrel Girl. And
okay.
It drives me nuts. But the fact that, I mean, like, literally she rides in on a herd of squirrels, or she'll, like, throw a rabid squirrel at you. Like, it just seems so asinine, but yet, in a big city, it seems so perfectly well placed.
That would have to be animated, though.
For you! Me, on the other hand, watching some live-action girl just, like, Andale squirrels! And, like, a whole herd of them going, and then, like, it's like a rolling wave of squirrels. Do some of them die? We don't know. Do they just climb over each other and like act
PETA
as a
would have a field day with that.
Yeah, right. Were those CGI squirrels the real ones? Could you imagine trying to train that many squirrels?
I don't know. They seem to do okay in Willy Wonka.
Yeah, that they did. The geese, however, did not do so
Yeah,
well.
the chocolate is what did it.
Yeah, it wasn't the chocolate?
Yeah.
With the almond nuts in it? Or But no, I feel that Squirrel Girl would make an interesting concept. Just because for somebody who doesn't read comic books, they're probably not going to know who Squirrel Girl is.
Yeah.
If you played Marvel Omega Heroes, you may know her from that. But
we do not speak of the Omega Heroes.
You don't speak of it, but that's just because you chose Punisher. You punished yourself with that. But it's an interesting aspect to know that she has the ability to command, thousands of squirrels at one time. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm afraid of a squirrel. Like, if a squirrel comes running at me, I'm running away. Like, I fear them more than dogs. Just a pack of squirrels coming at you. It's scary.
All right, Cameron, what would be one of yours?
I'd have to choose the Submariner, honestly.
Yeah.
I mentioned it earlier when we were talking about the Defenders, but I like him for various reasons, not the least of which is, like, he's like Aquaman, but he's an a-hole. And so you just get all of that fun stuff, you know? And he's got those weird wings on his feet so he can fly, It's comic book logic and it's awesome. So I just think it would be really cool. It's, if they can get the good actor to play him where he's interesting to watch, but at the same time, he's an a-hole, so... Like
Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool type.
Right, yeah. I was thinking somebody almost more along personality lines than somebody like Hugh Laurie,
Ooh, yeah, I can do that.
I don't think Hugh Laurie specifically, but somebody like him,
In a sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he could be the voice actor. Like, if they decided to do animated or something.
What's with you and animating art? These are our live actions, Nicholas!
Weird-ass things that you're suggesting.
Mine may have been weird, but his is actually understandable. But I have to agree that it's like an Aquaman, but just a jerk. Mm-hmm. And that's something I like in the Marvel aspect, is that they tend, they have these really awesome heroes, but they're so egotistical.
Yep.
That's
they have deepness. They don't have that one character trait, and they just go on that one character trait till they die.
Yeah, but I've always heard the difference between DC and Marvel is DC is gods trying to be human, and then Marvel is humans with godlike power.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I mean, I think the number one thing, especially when they first announced Spider-Man, the number one thing that people latched onto is that a lot of the comic was about Peter Parker and his struggle in high school and getting the girls and being the nerd. And so people really latched onto that. Whereas when you have Batman, 90% of the time, Batman is Batman. I wouldn't put it across people to not even know that his name was Bruce Wayne for the first couple of years, except for just, if you're actually paying attention. But point being that, like, for instance, like Adam West, how much did you see him outside of his costume?
Like, never.
Yeah. And it's only now that they decided, okay, we have to take a hint from Marvel and start, who's Bruce Wayne? who is he, and what's he like outside of the cowl.
When did you feel that came into play though for the Batman character? Did it come during Christopher Nolan? Did it come during George Clooney? When would you say was the
Christian Bale?
Bale, so it had to be
Yeah, if you look at like how much footage of Batman and everything, even like let's go back to Michael Keaton. Mm-hmm. Even when he was out of the suit, he was still mentally in it. Whereas in Christian Bale, we got to see him as Bruce Wayne, how he became the Batman.
Okay, yeah.
And then even then, we got to see his struggle outside. And I mean, even though him as Batman, or as Bruce Wayne, he was still Batman in a lot of scenes, especially when he was doing that like research and development and stuff like that in 2 and 3. You still got to see his struggle, and I think that's definitely one of the main reasons they decided to literally break him in the 3rd one, so that you could see his resolve as Bruce Wayne. He wasn't Batman. He was in ratty clothes, and he was just him. And I think that, a lot of people might have saw that as a bad thing, but it was actually a good thing. And, I think that's the main problem with, like, Superman. Superman is this perfect character, and people know him, and he's very iconic, but he's boring as hell. Because he's just not that much to him. Only when they started doing Injustice and we saw this side of Batman that we've never seen before, did it really become interesting.
I think that's part of why Smallville was so popular.
Right.
Was because of, they actually showed Superman as a person. And part of the thing that like people sort of get hung up on Superman and Batman is the fact that like, as people, right? Superman is Superman, right? Clark Kent is his disguise.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? And it's the same thing with Batman. Batman is Batman. He just wears a Bruce Wayne suit.
That's true. Yeah.
So, and that's kind of what's, I have to agree with you. Why I think it sort of threw people off on the 3rd Nolan movie, because they were seeing him, with his Batman, determined grit and resolve, but he wasn't in the suit, and so. That's just something that, like, you have to understand about those particular characters.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, going to me, I'd have to say my choice is Moon Knight. I think he's probably one of the more interesting, Marvel characters. And I feel like, especially now that we've had Daredevil, and we've seen that grit or whatever, if they took it just a step farther and added some real good like bloody sequences, because that's kind of the cool thing about Moon Knight, is that he's Batman, but he's the Batman that's okay with killing. And then you add in the mental structure of his character and how he's schizophrenic, and like he actually like believes there's like all this weird stuff going on, and then you add in the I don't want to say spiritual, but the paranormal. There we go. The paranormal aspect with like basically the moon god giving him his powers, and I feel like the right director, right cast, that could be really, really interesting. And blood. I mean, I want to see that, because like you look at his knuckles and it's like blades for brass knuckles.
And you look at the color scheming for Moon Knight, that pure white and silver and all that moon-esque coloring, it would contrast really well with the red. It would look nice.
Yeah.
It's not too often that you say like, oh, we need more blood, it's going to be nice. It really would. It would add a nice contrast on the film.
Yeah, I think it would actually just add a contrast as a whole to sort of the tone, especially like the Netflix series have. Because in general, the way they're lit and things, they're more on the darker side. So even though he would be in like really dank and dark alleys, him standing out and in that white figure would make a really stunning image. So once again, for me, it always comes down to the writing. So if they could do it and show it correctly, then it would be amazing.
Well, it's like you said earlier about Marvel being really, really good about incorporating their story with the action sequences.
Yeah.
Like you said, if they have a good enough writer who can put those two things together, because I agree with you that the action sequences in Marvel are far superior to DC, just because I feel like they're more bang for your buck. And yeah, I can see that. I see that very heavily.
Yeah, as far as like his mental status, think of like the segments from like Mad Max, but in Moon Knight. you know, because obviously we didn't like it at first, but we definitely grew to like it. But the more I think about it, those moments in the beginning where you're seeing his thoughts and just how disjointed everything was. At first, I think I didn't like it, and it was on the big screen, and it gave me a headache. But after viewing it again, it's like it actually made sense. And so having something like that, but showing that mental, you know, instability in a character, and, you know, maybe giving him, like, you know, a voice in his head, and maybe that could be the quirky, funny thing that happens. Like Dexter. How many times did you laugh out loud because of his monologue?
Yeah, right. It's kind of like we were saying about Deadpool. You know, he breaks that third wall or the fourth wall. He breaks it, whatever wall he's breaking. But
generally fourth.
There's
generally
usually
the fourth.
16, honestly.
Is there 16 walls? I can't count. Yeah, the fourth wall. Sorry, but yeah, he breaks the fourth wall constantly. Mm-hmm. And people are wondering, it's like, okay, is that design or is that literally his psyche just pretending that he's in this, and it, you know, not really breaking the fourth wall, but breaks the fourth wall. Are you thinking something like that type of?
Well, not necessarily like self-aware. I just think that maybe his outside persona, the one that, you know, actually does the speaking, he's tough, he's gruff, but the voices in his head making him go crazy could be the ones like Spider-Man, where he's always quipping and he's making funny monologues and he's just being funny. And I think that could be an interesting way to show his mental, you know, instability.
Yeah, so like have him have like a really gruff speaking voice, and then have his inside voice be like Jim Carrey or something. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, something really quirky. Yeah, I could see that.
So, second choice?
Ooh, I'm gonna have to go with DC on this one. Mm-hmm. Dog Welder.
Okay.
Dog Welder
has to be animated.
No. What is wrong with you? You can't animate welding a dog to somebody's face. See what?
No, we want to do it practical. Let's use real dogs.
Real dogs. Damn it, Peter! No. You know, it's really interesting to see, like I say, the contrast of all these different characters. Dog Welder, again, is one of those ones. He had his own comic. Now they put him with Six Pack. Six Pack is an alcoholic guy that sits at a bar all the time. Six Pack, come on.
Right, yeah.
Dog Welder hangs out in the shadows. He's in the alleyways. He takes in stray animals, and then welds the dead dogs to your face. I mean, come on. You know, you're coming. You got an evil villain that's, you know, running and blowing up, and all of a sudden he gets stopped because he can't get this dead dog off his face. I don't know why, but for me alone, I'm just like, it probably won't make a good series. It's probably going to be a complete and total crap series, but it would be one I would want to watch because it's so out there. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I just like stuff that's out there.
Yeah. I could see a movie, you know, like probably not an ongoing series, but like just like a short movie.
Yeah, straight like to DVD.
Yeah. Animated though, right?
Yeah. And Cameron, did you have one more you wanted to suggest?
Yeah. So for me, I would have to pick the Dark Horse comics, the Hellboy universe, specifically the BPRD.
Yes.
So, I mean, so you have the Hellboy movies, right? And I mean, you could make a series about Hellboy specifically, but just having it be about his organization that he works for, the Bureau of Paranormal Research and Defense, that would be, you know, because it'd be like a cop show with, you know, the paranormal elements. And so I think that affords a lot of different opportunities to cool stories and things like that. So.
I feel like it could be more of a captivating story than what PlayStation released was Powers. Is that what it was? Which was the police force, and he was a superhero, but had his powers taken away by the wolf or
something like that.
Yeah. So I could see that. Yeah.
He had it taken away by Eddie Izzard. I like that choice because that's actually I think that's actually on one of my top 10s of, you know, series that would make a good series.
Well, they do have a comic book series of
BPRD. And I mean, what makes it so interesting is the procedural nature of it. And like any procedural cop show, there's always that underlying story in the background that is persistent, and then each show has a different thing. So BPRD has kind of the same thing, but what makes it interesting, just like what makes SVU interesting, is the characters.
Now that you say that, it's got to be shot just like SVU.
Dun dun! No, but that's what makes it interesting, because instead of focusing in on Hellboy, we're focusing on help me out here.
Well, so
Abe.
I mean, yeah,
Abe.
so you
Abe's
have,
in it.
Abe would probably be main character. You could have Liz in there. She's in there from time to time.
Yeah.
And then, so from then on, it's just really interchangeable. It would just depend on what they want to do, because there's the thing about the BPRD is they'll bring in people. They have those that work for them, and then they also have like a lot of different consultants that they bring out from the outside.
Sure.
And so, you know, you have like a season where one of the people they brought in is like he's a really sensitive medium, and for some reason, like all these ghosts are bugging him, you know. But it doesn't make sense because you know all of the ghosts have been silenced since then, you know.
Yeah.
Or they have like really weird characters. Like there's one where this guy, his ability is he's really really sensitive to magnetic fields, but that's it. Like, he's like, there's a really strong magnetic field there. That's nice. What does that mean, you know?
Somebody's microwaving popcorn.
Right. And see, I guess another thing that would be interesting if they stayed, you know, faithful to the book is that we could have, there were certain times there would be a whole, you know, a whole issue that actually didn't have that much to do with the BBRD. It just, you know, you got like a little side story in the universe itself, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of like a setup.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, sometimes it didn't even really have that much to do with the world. It was really just
like they were in the background. Yeah, like they maybe this whole thing happened, and then like at the very end they came in to like with the cleanup, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, so
really, really interesting side stories, and you know, that on a Netflix I think would be a very good choice. So
yeah,
frankly, I just think Netflix needs more like Lovecraftian horror anyway.
Oh
so.
God, yeah. Good point.
Yeah, I have to agree. Take away the documentaries. We don't need those.
We'll get that on Hulu.
Unless it's a documentary about superheroes and comic books, then, you know, you might as well. But yeah, no, I actually agree. I think the BPRD would be a wonderful series to follow along. Everybody enjoys that cop beat type show anyway.
Right.
For us nerds, we love our sci-fi.
Yeah.
Throw it in there.
Yeah. All right, on me. All right, so that's what we think would make a really good Netflix series. What do you think? Let us know in the comments down below. That's it for the show today, so make sure to like us and subscribe to us on YouTube and Facebook at Deadly Operative Grunts, or on Twitter at Deadly Op Grunts. If you'd like to support a local Idaho and Northwest YouTube channel, go to our Patreon and help us out there. Plenty of stuff that only Patreon subscribers get. That's it for the Deadly Operative Grunt Show. Are
we all doing the feeling squirrely?
I don't care. Do it.
It's all on you guys now.
Okay. And we're
Feeling squirrely.
Mother.
I like how you booted me from the messenger today. I got it. I was like, then I came back. I'm like, oh no, never mind. It's like, what did I do?
Triple threat.